You are listening to Reconnecting the Dot podcast, and I'm your host, Abdurrahman Anifoshe. Once again, I want to engage and empower you to become the best version of yourself through this podcast, and I hope it benefits you. Take a listen to this week's episode and let me know what you think. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another week's episode of Reconnecting the Dot podcast with Abdurrahman. This is episode 21 of season 3 of Self-Improvement. Today, we're discussing the 7 powerful tips on how to survive workplace politics. I'm sure you all know what workplace politics is. Okay, we'll dive into that. And on this note, I'd like to thank God for everything, for keeping you on I till date, because it's indeed a blessing. I also appreciate you all for the critical feedbacks and comment. Really encouraging, and thank you so much. So, without further ado, let's get into the topic of the day. What is office politics? What does it mean to you? I'm sure today, in the world we live in today, there's a whole bunch of different things that goes on in the office environment. And some office environment becomes so toxic, there's so much tension around, there's so much pressure, and so on. So, that is what we're going to be discussing today. So, and I'm actually going to be sharing with you different tips on how best to survive the workplace politics. And I'm going to put you on a little, hot seat. What does office politics mean to you? Okay. So for me, office politics is a taboo word. And of course, for some people, it's a pervasive theme at the workplace. But in its simplest form, I would like to say that workplace politics is simply about the differences between people at work, differences in opinions, conflicts of interest, which are often manifested as office politics. It all goes down to human communication and relationship. Now, one of the tips to actually, look out for when office politics starts happening. Number 1 tip is be aware you have a choice. Be aware you have a choice. What does that mean? The most common reactions to politics at work are either fight or flight. It's normal human reaction for survival in the wild, back in the prehistoric days when we were still hunter-gatherers and so on. So, but office politics in the modern day, it means it takes more than just instinctive reaction to win in office politics. I'm gonna share an experience with you. I used to work with a company where just because I joined the team, shared my ideas, gave recommendation on how best we can efficiently do stuff and work better. And can you imagine that my recommendations and my suggestions was used against me? Hence, some colleagues went to report me to HR, lying about different kind of things, and I was so disappointed. I was very disappointed. But you know what? What did I do? I just had to ignore the distractions, and then it took me a lot of explaining to actually get myself out of it. You see? So, winning requires you to consciously choose your reactions to the situation. Recognize that no matter how bad the circumstances, you have a choice in choosing how you feel and react. So how do you choose this? How do you choose? This brings us to the next point. Number 2, know what you are trying to achieve. That's very important. If you want to achieve something, you need to have a clear understanding and a clarity of what you want to achieve really. So when conflicts happen, it's very easy to be sucked into tunnel vision and focus on immediate differences. Situations happens where you just find yourself, you're not sure of what to say, you're not sure what to talk about, you're scared maybe if you say something is going to be used against you. You're probably scared if you talk about this, it's going to be documented or it's going to be recorded. It's so much tension around. And that's becoming so toxic, right? So that's a self-defeating approach, really, I must confess. Because again, the chances are you will only invite more resistance by focusing on differences in people's positions or opinions. But the way to mitigate this without looking like you're fighting to emerge as a winner in this conflict is to focus on the business objective. That's right. In the light of what's best for the business, honestly. Discuss the pros and cons of each option. Eventually, everyone wants the business to be successful, right? And if the business don't win, then nobody in the organization wins, right? That's how it goes. So at the end of the day, we also, as persons, as individuals, as human beings, we need to also always try to redirect ourselves and focus on what exactly has brought us, to work in that organization or in that workspace, right? So it's much easier for one to actually eat the humble pie and back off when they realize the chosen approach is best for the business. That's right. By learning to steer the discussion in this direction, you will learn how to disengage from petty differences and positions yourself as someone who is interested in getting things done. Your boss will also come to appreciate you as someone who is mature, strategic, and can be entrusted with bigger responsibilities. Number 3, focus on your circle of influence. Very, very important. Focus on your circle of influence. What's your circle of influence to start with? You need to know what your circle of influence is, and you need to focus on it. After work, there are often issues which we have very little control over, right? It's not uncommon to find corporate policies, client demands, or boss mandates which affect your personal interests. Gossiping, complaining are also common responses to these events that we cannot control, correct? But think about it. Think deep about this. Other than that short-term emotional outlet, what tangible results do gossiping really accomplish in most instances? Really? Nothing. Nothing, if you ask me. Nothing. Instead of feeling victimized and angry about the situation, focus on the things that you can do to influence the situation. That's the way it works. That's where your circle of influence comes into play. Your circle of influence, this is a very empowering technique to overcome the feeling of helplessness. It removes the victimized feeling and also allows others to see you as someone who knows how to operate in given circumstances or in given constraint. You may not be able to change or decide on the eventual outcome, but you can walk away knowing that you have done the best within your given capacity for the circumstance. Constraints are all around in the workplace. Trust me. Every workplace, there are constraints. Okay? With this approach, your boss will always come to appreciate you as someone who is understanding and possible. Isn't that what you want? Exactly. Number 4, don't take sides. I repeat, don't take sides. In office politics, it is possible to find yourself stuck in between two power figures who are at odds with each other. You understand it? I've experienced that before as well. You find yourself being thrown around while they try to, outwit each other or and defend their own positions, all at the expense of you getting the job done. You can't get them to agree on a common decision for a project, and neither of them want to take ownership of issues. They are too afraid they will get stabbed in the back for any mishaps. Okay, how do we deal with this? In cases like this, focus on the business objective and don't take side with either of them. Even if you like one better than the other, place them on a common communication platform. That's all you can do, honestly, because you have to recuse yourself. Don't even get yourself into this. So by placing them on a common communication platform, it ensures an open communication among all parties. Honestly. So that no one can claim, I didn't say that, she didn't say that, or he didn't say that. You understand what I mean? And by not taking side as well, it also helps you to direct conflict resolution in an objective manner. You will also build trust with both parties that will help keep the engagement constructive and focus on business objective. Number 5, don't get personal. Honestly, this is my daily philosophy of work. It's the truth, but it's really hard. Don't get personal. Do not get personal at work, honestly. You see, that's one thing. In workplace politics, you get angry with people. That happens. There will be times when you feel the urge to give that person a piece of your mind and teach him a lesson. Either it could be he or it could be she. All right. So people tend to remember moments when they were humiliated or insulted. Honestly, they will do. They always remember that. Even if you win this argument and get to feel really good about it for now, you will pay the price later. When you need help from the person, what goes around comes around. Remember that. What goes around comes around, especially at the workplace. And to survive in an office workplace, or to survive in a space where there's so much politics going on, you will want to build a network of allies. Trust me. You will want to build a network of allies which you can tap into. The last thing you want, of course, during a crisis or an opportunity is to have someone screw you up, because they harbor ill intentions towards you, or because you had enjoyed a brief moment of emotional outburst at their expense. You see, that's what happens. So you need to be careful. Don't get personal. Number 6, seek to understand before being understood. That's deep, right? Seek to understand before being understood. The reason people feel unjustified is because they felt misunderstood. Exactly. Instinctively, we are more interested in getting the others to understand us than to understand them first. Top people, managers, and business leaders have learned to suppress this urge. Honestly, something similar happened to me. Like for some reason why I was trying to communicate with this co-worker, and then she misunderstood what I was trying to say. Well, she said, "Oh, you got an accent, blah blah blah." Well, I was trying to say, this is what is going on. This is what happened in relation to the work or the task we were given, right? I was trying to explain to my co-worker, and then she got it all wrong. And it took me a lot of explaining in more detailed way for her to understand. And then later everything was fine. So we need to seek to understand before being understood. That's very important. So top people and managers, and even business leaders have learned to suppress this urge. So surprisingly, seeking to understand is a very disarming technique. Very, very disarming technique, really. Once the other party feels that you understand where he or she is coming from, they will feel less defensive and be open to understand you in return. Trust me. This sets the stage for open communication to arrive at a solution that both parties can accept. Communication is very key. Trying to arrive at a solution without first having the understanding is very difficult. There's little trust or too much second guessing. You see? Now, this brings me to the last tip, which is think win-win. Remember the song Allah win, 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 right? So think win-win, honestly. And as I have mentioned, upfront, political conflicts happen because of conflicting interests, perhaps due to our schooling, our backgrounds, where we come from, our society or community, We are taught to win. We are taught that to win, someone else needs to lose, right? Conversely, but we are afraid to let someone else win because it implies losing for us. In business and work, that doesn't have to be the case, honestly. Learn to think in terms of how you either win out of this situation. This requires that you have to first understand other party's perspective and what's the need for him. Okay? So, the next thing to do is to understand what's the need for you. Strive to seek out a resolution that is acceptable and beneficial to both parties. Doing this will ensure that everyone truly commits to agreed resolution and will not pay only lip service to it. That's right. People simply don't like to lose. Of course, nobody wants to lose. Everybody wants to win. You may get away with win-lose tactics once or twice, but very soon you will find yourself without allies in the workplace. You don't want to do that, honestly. Thinking win-win is an enduring strategy that builds allies and helps you win in the long term. Remember, for you to survive workplace politics, all of these things are things you have to put into consideration to have you survive that workplace politics. This brings me to the end of this podcast. Thank you for joining and thank you for listening. To follow me on Instagram as Reconnecting the Dot Podcast and to subscribe to listen to our previous and upcoming episode, visit www.rtdshow.com. You can also follow me on Spotify and on Apple iTunes Podcasts and also on YouTube channel as Reconnecting the Dot Podcast. And thank you all for listening and see you all next week. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Reconnecting the Dot Podcast with your host, Abdurrahman. If you're yet to subscribe to this podcast, please do so and follow me on Instagram, iTunes, Spotify, and YouTube channel. And remember to always strive to become the best version of you. Thank you and bye-bye.